Hello and welcome back to Sarah's Spare Corner. My name is Sarah. I am the host of Sarah's Spare Corner. Sarah's Spare Corner encompasses gaming as well as arts, crafts, and various different forms of creativity. Additionally, I like sharing theories, concepts, and ideas as I am a philosophy major. And when I'm not bored, I might travel places and I might post about it. Today, we are going to review footage that I had taken over a period of 2 to 3 years that I just never posted to YouTube. The purpose of this is to, I think, on one level reflect. I think something that oftentimes we don't really see on YouTube is people like looking back at themselves in a way that is healthy to critique. There's going to be various different types of footage. I don't know what exactly is going to be shown. I have like a ballpoint figure because obviously I went through some of this footage earlier, but it's, I went through it like very fast, barely even listened to the words. I just went over it in a way that I'd still have a little bit of mystery here. I never reviewed this footage after recording it because I think I just lost the love for video editing during this period of time, but it was also like I wasn't mentally well. So even if I did have love for it, it was impossible to really share. We're going to start with the first one. There is a total of 4, which means if you're watching this, then the other 3 should be out right now. I'm going to post all of these at the exact same time. I think I've just decided that right now, just so that I can get them out of the way. If it doesn't make sense that I'm posting this with all the other footage, it's more as a accountability thing to myself. I, for years, would think to myself, like 2023, 2024, 2025, oh, I have all this footage I have to post. I never posted it. I should have posted it, blah, 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 blah. And this is my way of, one, satisfying that particular feeling. And it's very possible that this footage might go private at some point. Perhaps I posted it and decided, you know what, I don't actually want that on the channel. This is for me. I don't really know what will happen, to be honest, because the future of my decisions tend to be different depending on the thought and feeling process that I have at that period of time. So we're going to go sit through the first one. I would just like to say a warning for each one of these videos, but I'll probably start it with each one of these videos. I don't know the kind of content that I'm going to be talked about. I do know what I was going through during these periods of time, and there were some traumatic events that had happened. So if something comes up in my speech or a topic is discussed, I will probably give a small trigger warning at the bottom before I discuss those themes. It is very possible that I might even just cut out an entire section of some of this footage just so that the context of which it exists in would not be put on the internet for my safety reasons, but also just for your mental health, right? Some of these themes might be a little bit more serious than not. And anyways, now that I have rambled, we are going to watch this footage together. So based on this particular image, I already know what we're probably going to talk about. I obviously have gained weight since this time. I mean, you can just tell by looking at my face. So I guess I'll just add a quick trigger warning here. I probably am going to discuss themes of
censor.
And I will just kind of add this here. I can tell that this is 2019 because of the color of the room. And I know exactly what room this is. This was actually the first time I lived with my current roommate. I remember that dresser very clearly. The drawers basically fell off at some point on both of the dressers. So they're still intact. I hadn't even changed my bedding yet, actually. And the first reel I ever posted on my Instagram was actually of new bedding being put in. And that was during the
censor.
So this was prior to
censor.
And I remember thinking I was fat. I thought I was fat. I weighed 120 pounds when I think I was 25, 26 here. And that's not healthy, by the way. And I thought I was fat. So it is very possible that these themes might come through the video, but I'm just going to press play and we'll see what comes up.
Good morning, guys. It is Sarah here. I hope
I'm trying to figure out if no. So this is the regular speed. I think I just speed through this particular section. There are certain sections that I speed through on purpose. And this is not a critique of myself, but if you can tell, I actually have quite a bit of acne. I remember this period of time I was breaking out miserably. I was experiencing I had a traumatic event happen. And I was in a relationship that it wasn't very healthy. And I was also surrounded by several other unhealthy relationships. And I was under eating. There were so many factors here, but I just mentally and physically, I was not healthy. So if you're thinking about this, like, it is definitely why.
Or maybe we work out whenever. So I thought it was a 30-day workout challenge, and since we're all in quarantine, why not? But it didn't happen.
Okay, so I just said that we're all in quarantine. So this was right when
censor
it. Okay, so I was wrong. This is 2020. This was probably March 2020.
So what happened was, hello.
Oh, that's when I first got Morticia.
Wake up at 7 every morning and do this. I'm not looking. I have been trying to do this for a month now, and I keep sleeping in past my kind of embarrassed.
I just realized that the audio might be like booming, so I'm just going to turn it down just a little bit.
But before that, though, I didn't really. I wanted to wait until my workout clothes came in.
Oh, yeah. This was. That's so funny. Okay, so this was the first time that I had bought anything from Fabletics. I'm actually wearing Fabletics legging right now. Let's see if I can. Yep, this is a Fabletics stretch legging, and it's basically the only place I buy fitness clothing from, except sometimes when I'm really poor, I buy something from Fashion Nova. But that's funny that I didn't even realize that this was like around the time I first bought something. This outfit was probably one of the first I bought, because the top and bottom in 2020 and 2019, neon was all the rage with workout outfits.
I want my stuff back.
Oh yeah, I remember now. Oh, that was so freaking weird. So in 2020, 2019, so I had purchased a locker in the year of 2019 at my university's gym center. And I did this because I wanted to frequently work out. And so I had a bunch of like things in the locker, but I couldn't even get it until like the spring of 2020 because of the pandemic. Nobody was allowed to go on campus. So I had a bunch of things just waiting for me in the locker. And then I got an email and it was like, if you need to come by and get your stuff, you should get it because we're about to clear out lockers. And I remember emailing them back and being like, I wasn't allowed to come and get it. Can I come and get it now? And they're like, oh yeah, for sure. I was like, oh my God. Oh, I remember this now. Right. Look how small Morticia is.
I thought about subscriber. I don't from, hey, what?
In this video, I had 37 subscribers. Now, to be fair, it is not much more than my 321 subscribers now. But hey, like, that's cool. Like, you know what? I was watching a video of London recently, and my London video, and I had talked about how it only had like 67 subscribers. And I'm like, I gained so many subscribers since. I mean, I guess I'm not like, in the thousands. I don't have 1 million subscribers, like whatever. But I also don't necessarily make content that I would say works well with the algorithm. So it's kind of cool, like when I watch older videos that are several years old and I'm like, I have more than that.
Dude, no.
Kitty?
I don't want to, so I'm a little bit faster. I don't. What do you want? I already fed you. Are you just wanting attention?
I remember this now. So this was during the period of time where posting to YouTube, it was basically like, and this was prior to right now. So this was around the period of time that if you didn't have a ton of subscribers, and there were other channels that had like a more revenue on YouTube and like more subscribers basically, then your footage would be updated or uploaded faster. And anything I posted would always take like hours, even though it was like compressed file. Like now I have no problem. I could post something and it might take 30 minutes. But before it was like, it'd take 3 hours on a compressed file. Whereas now it's not like that anymore. Also, Morticia's such a cute kitten.
Fast track. They're all gonna be Morticia. No.
I think I remember now. She really loved the netting. Like, I don't know if you can see it, but there's netting above my bed. I have a canopy bed. I still have the same bed. And I had netting above the bed, and she really liked it, which she's a kitten. Of course she did. I can't believe how thin I am. Like, I don't mean it as a, oh my God, look how thin I am. I mean it as like a, because I remember seeing myself in the mirror every day and thinking I was like overweight. That's what I think is more surprising to me, because I actually genuinely could not see myself as what I was because of high body dysmorphia. Which I still have to this day. Like, I still look at myself in the mirror, and based on my hormones and when I am in the cycle, I'm still confused, like, what my weight is at. But it's very strange seeing myself here, because I think I still have those yoga pants, but I don't fit in them anymore. And that was a small. And I remember thinking, I'm too big. Ooh, did I trick her? Right. I'd like to defend myself here. This was the first cat I had in several years. My cat prior died, and she died of an incurable disease. And so when I first got Morticia, I think I was readjusting to what it's like having a kitten, because it had been so long since I had had a kitten. And even prior, like my last cat, the one Harley, before Morticia, Harley, I technically got her when she was already fully grown. So I hadn't fully experienced a kitten in a very long time. So in my defense, I just didn't understand. I don't know if I'm going to do that, to be honest, because I'm just going to link Chloe Ting's channel, because I know that's what I was following. So I'll just link Chloe Ting's channel, and that's it. Nope. I do remember this period of time of posting on YouTube. I think live streaming has kind of helped the way I address the camera on some level, but at this period of time, I think it's also just the era of YouTube that we're in. At this point, vlogs were still very popular, and there was still like a commentary voice that came with vlog, even if you were being more intentional. It was like a YouTuber voice, if you will. And so I think I remember the way I used to dress the camera in 2020 was very much through a vlog kind of voice, where you're still having the YouTuber flair. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting hearing the way I speak to the camera versus the way I talk to the camera now. Like, now I can just talk to the camera as if I'm talking to a bestie. But here I think I was still like addressing it to the camera. Like, addressing it more to the camera and less to the person, if that makes sense. Come sit. I remember this. Do you see the way I just pulled up my pants like that? That was because of my body image. I do remember this one particular area. In 2019, I used to just say that I faced my demons. I think the best way to describe it is in 2019, I fell through a dark hole of insanity, if that makes sense. And one of the ways that I pulled myself out of it was actually through meditation and critical thinking. And so one of the things I had started doing in 2019, I was living in a different place at the time, and I was in a basement. And what I would do is I would just meditate and pray while I was going through what I was going through. And it really saved me, honestly. And so during this period of time, I prayed a lot and meditated. I do not do that anymore. I probably should meditate more, but I think now I just kind of focus on just closing my eyes and just focusing on breathing in general, which I guess is not necessarily the meditation I used to practice, because the meditation I used to practice, I would usually have like a couple of stones in front of me that would have all intentional meanings, and I would focus on those meanings while I was meditating. So I'd kind of like play with the rock in my hand, and I'd be like, I really want to focus on like clarity. It's that kind of thing. And so then I would just kind of focus on that. And then I would pray on it as well, which seems kind of more like a spiritualism, but I think it was actually like, I don't even know how to describe it. I know a lot of other Christians probably didn't know that about me because I wasn't telling anybody about that. Christians anyway. But I kind of did this to help remind me of these things that I needed in my life. And if you're Catholic, for example, a lot of Catholics do that with the rosary, right? They go through each bead. So that's kind of how I saw it, except these rocks, I weren't thinking they were crystals and they had magical energy. And, if you think that way or feel that way, I'm not judging you. I just couldn't feel that way about them. It was more about the intentional meanings behind those rocks to me that kind of helped me focus. And praying was one of those things that helped me. I do remember this period of time. I had very foggy memory and thought process. So I paused a lot when I was thinking because of something that had happened in my life at that period of time. So I wasn't in the best of space in my head. And because of that, I had paused a lot when I was doing videos. And you might see this throughout the rest of the footage. My hair does not look good. I know that seems like a critique, but oftentimes people who are underweight, their hair actually looks very unhealthy. I even remember there was like 3 years where my hair was just stagnant here, and then all of a sudden it grew. And I think that was when I started to eat. Also, oh my gosh, do you see how one shoulder is so high and the other one is so low? Like, there's no way that's just based on how I'm sitting, right? Like, it's almost like half my neck is like the shoulder. Well, I guess it could be this was pulling it down, the shoulder piece. But I think on some level, I do think that I am leaning a little bit in this because based on where my collarbones are, is they are a little uneven. One's higher up than the other one. But I do think that I might have been holding this shoulder higher during this period of time because of the stress I was under, which was probably best that I was meditating then. Yeah, like even here I'm thinking, wow, I'm slouching too much. I need to stop slouching. People are going to notice that on the camera. Like as much as I was meditating, I was also thinking like it was a very performative base, the way I was dealing with this. I just can't get over how like high my one shoulder is versus the other one. Like, do I have that now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe a little bit. I don't know. This one right here. I mean, I do tend to hunch too much, and I'm trying to work on that right now. In fact, I actually bought a back brace so I can fix my posture because I slouch a lot when I'm like distracted or my mind's busy. And in this period of time, like 2020, my mind was very busy. I think a lot of our minds were very busy in 2020. But there was a couple of things that had happened 2020 that actually I greatly embraced the solitude of 2020 because of just a bunch of things that had happened in 2019. So as much as I was like performative and foggy mind and not thinking well about my body and not feeling positive, on another level, I was healthier in my head because I had so much solitude at this period of time, much needed solitude. I don't know what I'm smiling about, but apparently I was laughing while meditating. I definitely was thinking about something. I don't know what it was. Now I'm starting to really just like relax a bit. You can see the way my shoulders pull forward. I do this a lot, especially when I'm cross-sitting or cross-legged. I must have taken out the footage for this section. Okay, so this is something that I remember very clearly because I was still very Christian at the time. Oh my gosh, do you see this right here? I was on Fashion Nova the other day. Here, I'm going to move myself out of the way. Bum, 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 bum. We're going to flip horizontally. There we go. I was on Fashion Nova the other day because I was like looking at, clothing that maybe I would want to repurchase. Oh, I remember this blue dress. It was so cute. I had to throw a lot of this stuff away because the fashion like got out and I didn't feel like wear the outfits as much. But because I gained so much weight, some of these clothing that I had physically altered for my size, I could no longer fit. So I gave them away. But this outfit was like a disco bodysuit, and I was going through Fashion Nova to find like this one particular dress that I wore during this period of time to rebuy it in a different size. And this bodysuit showed up, and I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that. So it's interesting to see it in my closet there. I do remember also during this period of time, because how do I say this? I was in a very toxic relationship, and it seemed like anything that I would post that even showed a little bit of skin, the dude would kind of message me about it. Because the way he like kind of saw me, I guess you could say. And so even during this period of time, I thought, I don't think it's appropriate for me to post videos of me showing skin. It was also like, obviously I was a youth leader at this period of time. So I put on the sweater, but I can't work out with sweaters. I generally prefer shorts too, because even when I was wearing these pants, like they were nice, but I get way too hot when I'm working out and I'm wearing pants. So generally I'm just wearing a sports bra and shorts. But like, I always overthought like what I was wearing and what I was posting online, because I was like, oh, I don't want to be too inappropriate. It's Morticia. Oh, I guess she was trying to come inside to the room. And so I guess I let her in. She's kind of just like hanging out with me, the little baby. And those were a ton of squats. I think I remember this workout. And I remember being like, I overexerted myself. And I think I almost threw up, if I remember correctly. It was either this one or another one that happened before this one or after this one. See, even here, I would be like, I don't like the way I look, kind of thing. Look, my shoulders are high again. Like, I am not imagining that. One shoulder is higher than the other. And that could just be, because our bodies are different on different sizes of our body. Like I'm very asymmetrical, if you will. Oh yeah, so this shirt I think was a new piece that I had gotten. Very cute. I still have it. But again, I can't work out with long shirts. Like this is what I would wear to the machine and then take it off, because wearing a shirt while working out is way too hot. Like it's too hot. Okay, Morticia. So I think that's also one of the reasons why I don't work out at like public gyms, is because I'm always like, at some point, I'm probably going to start stripping because it's just too hot. So I don't want to be that weird person at the gym doing that. Maybe I just need to find like pieces that are, a little bit easier to work at. And so I did find a couple from Fan Expo. I think it was summertime. I thought that this actually transitioned to a different period of time, but I think this is the same week. Is that a bottle of wine? Oh yeah, I remember this one. It didn't even taste very good, but I liked the logo. That's why I always bought that one. And I did move over here because I was like, well, some of these movements are like leg raises and stuff like that. I'm not going to be able to do this where I was prior. And I opened the window, right, because I was getting overheated. I do not like opening the window. It is kind of fun watching a snapshot like this in time where I don't really remember everything, but I also kind of remember some things about this period of time. It's kind of fun. Morticia. Do you want up? Up? Yeah, I knew it. I knew you wanted up. I think I'm meditating. I think that's what's going on here. Unless I paused it. Oh my gosh, I paused it. Morticia, just sit with me. Ow! Oh. Every time I pulled up the pants, I just think about how much I always wanted to pull up the pants, because I was like, oh no, my fat will show. So this was at a different house, 2021, and here was 2022, I think. Or 2023. Based on stuff I'm seeing in this room, I think this was when I just moved into this house. Especially since this is more fall coat. This coat is very paper thin. I love this thing, but it's paper thin. So I'm thinking this was like September 2022. That's what I'm thinking this is. And based on that, it's kind of sad hearing myself be like, I want to get jacked in 2 years. And then I gained like 60 pounds. But I am a little bit more natural when I'm speaking to the camera here. Okay, let's do a comparison. Because this is different. Okay. All right, so we're right about here, bro. Like, I used to think that was fat. I honestly, it's also funny because I'm like, oh, well, I easily gain like muscle and stuff like that. And I still stand by that. I still do think I gain muscle easily. But not so much in my stomach area. That's tend to be where I hold the most amount of my weight. And so as soon as I start seeing abs, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, see how fast I can gain muscle. The thing is, though, is I didn't have a ton of fat on me already at this point. So, because like I was 120 pounds here, like this, I was 26, 27 here, 120 pounds.
Very awesome. Like express. I don't always, but I don't. So I'm gonna try to do some. I go with that. All right.
So I think the first set of footage, this was a little bit later in time. And you can see because I've gained some weight, like I'm wearing that original highlighter outfit and you can see the weight on my stomach and you can see the weight underneath my chin here. It's kind of interesting watching this because I slowly progress into gaining weight over these video footage, but like I didn't notice it at the time, but here I can like see a definite change from one to the other. I think right about here is maybe where I'm like 160, 170, which is I think what I am right now. I think. But I will say this, even though like, yes, I was inconsistent in eating and taking care of my body. Like, yeah, you can see the difference between the two footage. So this was before we're going to switch because I completely switched topics here because the entire front footage of this was like working out footage. But you can see that even though I'm inconsistent at making sure I work out and inconsistent at eating healthy, especially during the end or the last couple of years period of time, you can still see that it's still a concern for me. Like I'm still thinking about it, which is nice to know because some people, maybe they just don't get into it at all. Whereas even though I was inconsistently thinking about it, I was still thinking about my health. So there's that. So this is in 2020 or 2021. Oh yeah. I think about that documentary all the time. And what's weird is I was thinking about that documentary like literally yesterday. And yeah, they had like followed each one in their own little journey of like what they had experienced when they returned from Afghanistan. One of them was like, she was the face of the join the military kind of poster, and she had bared so much guilt for years over that fact, and then she turned her trauma into art, very abstract, strong, like almost aggressive looking art, and how they had experienced processing through the trauma that they had experienced from Afghanistan.
Because it's something in your childhood, but a lot of your foundation is strong. One section of time, you don't know how to.
That's so weird because I was just thinking about that video too. Like I was thinking about it a couple of days ago about our perception of the way that we understand time. And that's weird that I'm like thinking about that two different videos. In this video, I've thought about it again, like recently, like yesterday or the day before. CBD.
So this is where but it's not just, but it's not just, but.
You know, it's interesting as I'm watching this, and I know my feelings around school is very complicated. But even while I'm discussing the topic of my complications with school and my history of it, I'm kind of embarrassed about it. I'm not looking directly in the camera as much, and my thumbs are kind of doing a rubbing thing to relax me. And I'm like opening my hands as if it's like, please understand, kind of like a surrender. The stuff I've gone through. Yeah, so I was 27 here. Okay, I'm just going to pause for a second. I know I kind of carry on the conversation a little bit longer here because I like went away and came back. Like it's the same outfit, but I remember several things now rewatching this video. So part of the reason why I didn't post like this particular video was because at that period of time, if I had posted this, there were some people in my life who would have instantly been like, she's talking about me. And objectively, I was. I was talking about them. But I was also talking about me because, how do I explain this? This period of time, there were a couple of people in my life that objectively were just not compatible as friends. And there was one person who had called me crazy. And it wasn't like oh, sorry, you're being crazy. They meant it the other way. And because I had just come back from losing my mind, I was at a very emotional, sensitive state at that period of time. There were several people who were trying to misdiagnose me with disabilities I don't have or disorders I don't have. And I knew that if I posted this, it would be more harm to me than actual good. And there were some things that I remember very clearly about this situation. I remember speaking with my therapist about this. I remember speaking to like some older people that I had trusted, being like, am I in the wrong? Like, what's going on? And they were all like, these people are dangerous, Sarah. Like, don't spend time with them. So I was like, okay. So I kind of secluded myself, which is why, I enjoyed
censor
so much. But this was also around the time that I was ending a non-relationship relationship. And we'll just put it there. And I'm going to say like ending, but like not ending, because like it did kind of drag on a little bit longer, but mostly overall, this was kind of the ending point of it. And when I was talking about trauma or triggers, one of the things, it's kind of interesting because on some level, I remember at this period of time being like, why am I acting like this? Or why am I making these self-destructive decisions? And one of the things is exactly what I say in here, because when I'm in exam season, I'm very stressed. So I make choices that are very erratic. And it's kind of funny because I remember talking about this and being like, I can't believe I did that. Or why did I speak to that person? Or why did I allow them in my life longer? And it was like, because you were stressed, because school is a trigger for you. So it's kind of funny watching this now and knowing that and not knowing that while talking about it and literally saying this is why, but not connecting in my head that that was why. Like it's such a funny conundrum watching this and knowing this now. But in terms of schooling, I still struggle with school, to be honest. I remember the people that I was around at that period of time were the kind of people who just like didn't have empathy for people who had learning disorders, disabilities, pardon me. And I have a few of them. And so this was really sensitive time for me because I was already like, I had a panic attack about the bad. I think it would be fair to say it would be more like high anxiety, because I think I remember 2 very real panic attacks, and these hadn't happened yet. This was like 2020. I think I had my 2 very real panic attacks in 2022, I think, or 2021. So what ended up happening is I think I was in the middle of exam season, and I was just very overwhelmed, and I judged myself, but other people judged me for it too. And I think it was because I was so low in my self-esteem, like very clearly, like I had a very bad body image at this period of time and really doubted myself, that I allowed people to speak into my life who had no place to speak into my life and into my mind. And I shared parts of my mind that I should have never shared. So I think when I talk about my stress in this video, it's like me like kind of therapeutically going through the thought process of this period of time and being able to walk through it. And I think on some level, these videos actually helped because I would talk about them out loud, wouldn't post them. And then now it's like, actually, like I remember very clearly that period of time helped me process those very complicated feelings. So when I'm watching this, I think it's actually, in a way, it's like a therapy session I had with myself that actually worked. So it's kind of nice seeing this, but also it's kind of, it's bittersweet, I would say, because of the feelings that were so complicated at this period of time. I have so many thoughts about that last section. So those 2 videos were very clearly talking about everything that I had experienced in the last, this was 2020. So everything that had happened from 2018 to 2020 is what those last 2 videos were about. And the last one where I said I had somebody sit down with me and they told me everything that's wrong with me, and it sent me spiraling. I remember that situation very clearly. it was actually the reason why I ended up going to therapy in 2019. My first therapist was actually through betterhelp.com. Because I had so much anxiety about going to see a therapist. But this person that I was close to at this period of time had told me how I was a shell of a human being and that I had no personality except for the person that I was currently in love with. Which really, I think they just said that because they were jealous that they weren't the person I was in love with. But they were saying something out loud that I had actually feared at this point for 3 years. I was scared that that was true. And it was a deep fear that I thought about myself for a year, 2 years prior. And so when they said that out loud, it was kind of like this person's figured me out. I need help. And it's really unfortunate that is the thing that sent me to therapy, because that was the most unhelpful thing that I could have heard from anybody at that period of time. But it also ended up sending me to therapy. So I guess on some level it was very helpful. But I think it was because I, at this period of time, had deep fear that I was a narcissistic abuser. And because of this, I was like, I need to go to therapy so I can fix me. So I don't become a narcissistic abuser, which that's not how this works. But anyway, in that video, I addressed why it's very important to consent with the other person first before you start having those kind of conversations with them. Because this person did not ask if I was in a headspace where I could hear. This person did not ask if it was okay if they could speak to me privately about those things. I actually had a conversation with somebody else recently who decided to tell me everything that was wrong with me. And I was like, I'm going to be honest, I don't care. One, it's you who are saying this. And two, it's also, you've never asked me for consent in this area because you actually don't care about consent. And so therefore, everything you have to say, even though it might have some truth in there, I don't care because it's coming from you. And at that point, it's void. So anyways, that might be a very bleak way to look at it, but I just don't allow certain things to come into my mind from people that I have determined are not the kind of people I want to hear from. So there's that. But that last video is very interesting because it almost was like I said, everything that I said in those last two videos was literally how I started treating my life. If somebody was in my life who was harming me, don't try to explain it, just walk away. And that is very much the kind of person I am today. I'm the kind of person that if I have determined that you do not have a listening ear, that you do not have a humble heart, that you do not have empathy, that I'm not going to sit with you and talk to you about the problems. Because the reality is, at the end of the day, I spoke to you several times in a very calm voice. I do not like it when you talk to me this way. I do not like it that this is not getting done. I do not like it that this is, whatever. And I'm very clearly saying I do not like, please don't. No, thank you. But I think a lot of people who have grown up in abusive situations, if you're not yelling and screaming, they will not listen to you because that's the only time that they've actually listened. And for me, I have determined that I am not going to lash out, become an aggressive version of myself just so you can hear me. I'm more like either you hear me or you don't. And if you don't hear me, then why am I putting energy out here? Which is kind of interesting now that I'm looking at these videos, seeing these thoughts that I'm having here where I'm I'm telling you as the audience, this is how we should be responding. But I actually didn't implement that in my life yet. This was me telling myself to implement that. And now I have. And it's very fascinating. Oh.
Even weird parents were pastors. I think as well fired up this on your It's like they are. The whole reason
that video brought a whole bunch of thoughts and feelings back. So this was in 2020. This was around the time that I first started deconstructing my Christianity. I was still part of the youth ministry in preteens and older youth leader. I was also part of the worship team. And in this period of time, I think honestly losing my mind was the reason why I started deconstructing, because even though I was leaning heavily on my Christianity during that period of time, I had saw the way Christ followers were treating me during this period of time. I was not well at all. My mind was not healthy. And honestly, at this point, I don't even think it's just Christ followers. I think it's just human beings. Human beings do not know how to respond to mental health crisis at all. They say that we're all about mental health, but really we're all about our own personal mental health and not about other people's mental health. And I will take accountability for that period of time, because in some ways I was kind of emotionally vomiting on people that I shouldn't have. And that was my fault, and I was wrong for that. But I think the deconstructing during this period of time was heavily because of the response of the way people treated me during this period of time. And I think it wasn't because it was a personal thing. I think people were treating me that way because I was reflecting something about themselves, something that they don't agree with. Or it could be that maybe that they had a fear about themselves in their own way about that. But you know what, though? It wasn't just Christians who were treating me like that. It was just humans in general. So I can't really blame Christians for that. But I think I just definitely started deconstructing some things that I had grown up with during this period of time. And one of them was like youth conferences, because I was thinking about my own personal experience during youth conferences. And then I don't know if this was after I had taken a group of youth to a youth conference in Red Deer, Alberta. I think it was after, honestly, based on the haircut and everything. But it's kind of funny because I'm like, I know why I didn't post this. Because I was a youth leader at this time and I was part of the church still, and that's why. But I was having these thoughts and feelings during this period of time. I remember this video. I remember what it visually looks like. I was in a different house at this point. I think it was several months later. This was the summer of 2021. I'm doing mascara while I'm doing this. So in reality, when I'm saying I'm just fine, I'm actually like, I'm fine. That's kind of, but like not angry. I'd be like, I'm fine. That's the kind of fine I'm in this video. I think I remember this was, I think, the first camping trip I did. So the video is available up there. Okay. So that was clearly talking to myself there. I think I didn't post this one because I was clearly needing a vacation, and I knew if I posted this, it would be kind of alienating. Like, it'd be kind of be giving your, people who don't like you, more leverage, if that makes sense. That's why I never posted that. But I still stand by that. I actually have a rule. If I start hating my job, it's time to take a vacation. And that is definitely where I was at that point, I think. Anyways, I don't think I need to say anything more than that was already in that video. It was very clear that I needed a vacation. She loved Morticia. She loved this house because there was a big window right above this bed that she could just sit in and watch everything. And she loves doing that. She loves watching outside. We had actually just moved into this house. My roommate at the time was just had a surgery. So I was actually alone for an entire month living in this house. So I kind of just unpacked for both of us. It obviously, like, there were some things I did that I don't think they appreciated, but I tried. You can't really cook with a box on the oven, right? There was this guy who was, I'd say he was not the nicest, and he was so salty because on Valentine's Day, his ex had rejected him. And so he came to me to fulfill his emotional need, to which I wasn't responding. So he then called me a lesbian. And then he said only weeaboos and Asians like people with blue hair. That's where that comment came from. Oh, Morticia sat on a lot of these videos are me just talking to myself. But, I wish that I had taken actually the advice from this video, because what I'm seeing here is kind of the untainted version of myself, if that makes sense. But it's also very childlike, and at some point you have to grow up, right? Why does this kind of remind me of Ariana Grande? For some reason. It's because people pleasers tend to be around, because I'm definitely a people pleaser, if not a recovering one. The people that you try to end up pleasing oftentimes is an unattainable reach. They can't be pleased. But you think, oh, if I change this area or I take their advice about what they said about that, when you do those things, they'll be like, oh, well, you're egotistical. You're this. You never listen. Actually, that's not what I said. You misunderstood me. So the way that I respond here is very interesting, because it's me saying those are the kind of relationships where I was around.
Right? There's some people, hey, I said that about you. I like to wear around your mouth. Believe it helps. Accept yourself the way you are. And I think that's what these issues with insecurity. You spend a lot of time around a bunch of people who tell you adjusting to, and then holes. So then I think about it kind of so like weird. And like,
I think it's a fair assessment to say, when we're talking about people who just explain things with science, it's not that that's a bad thing. I think it's just when you approach a hypothetical question with a scientific fact, it's not wrong. It's just, it's covering up for the fact that you don't want to exercise the thought. Like, what is the meaning of thought? Oh, well, there is no meaning of thought because, whatever. Because, the Big Bang Theory and everything followed afterwards. There is no meaning. Therefore, just find comfort in that. I think the difference is sitting with that thought. Even if you know why, that there is no reason, and that is factual proof. If you're able to sit with those thoughts without with the factual proof and still exercise those thoughts, is probably one of the most holistic things we could do as a human, is ask ourselves questions that we don't have a comforting answer to. That's what I think.
why does anything matter anyway? But I think more the biggest, and that's just what we're going to said, it's something we can all relate to, is that we all are Lord. And what can apply to that, and just not start with it, what's like, what holds there like anyway.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say about this, and I didn't say it earlier, or I at least didn't say it very well. I think the hesitancy that we should have when it comes to what is the meaning of life, and we instantly start reasoning through it, is that we use facts to avoid asking ourselves these questions. I think that even though these questions can be discouraging because there is no answer, I still think it's important as humans to ask these questions anyway and still wonder. And so I think oftentimes what happens is people will, it's kind of interesting because I grew up Christian, obviously. And I think oftentimes what people would do is, what is the meaning of life? Well, the meaning of life is God gave us meaning. So therefore we have meaning. Like, what is the meaning of life? There is no meaning because the universe was created by the Big Bang. So therefore there is no meaning. It's almost the same kind of argument to me. At least that's what it sounds like. And so I think my point is, when I'm talking about this here, is that these questions need to be asked whether or not we like them or not. I disagree with myself here. After this period of time, I deep dived into my own psyche when it comes to my own people pleasing. People pleasers, it is a trauma response. It isn't created because you have good empathy. It might be more inclined to go with people who have naturally, like children who are very sensitive. Children who are more sensitive tend to be a little bit more leaning possibly on the people pleaser side. But I disagree by saying that because I care about people, that's why I'm a people pleaser. No, you're a people pleaser because you are insecure and overly concerned about other people's thoughts about you. People pleasers, and I've talked a lot about this on my own individual time, and like a couple of videos I've posted about this, but people pleasers have a very hard time taking criticism. They are very sensitive to it because they worry that they hurt somebody else's feelings. But it's not, I hurt your feelings. I'm like, on some level, sure, there is that. Like, I hurt your feelings. I'm discouraged by that. But a lot of it is, I'm perceiving your feelings right now through my own lens of understanding. And I don't like the fact that I disappointed you. Like, it's an I statement. People pleasers lead a lot by these I statements. I feel like I disappointed somebody and I want to make it right. And there isn't always, like, it's not so black and white. I think a lot of people misunderstand mental health issues or disorders or disabilities or whatever as being one way or another. I think oftentimes what people or the internet would like to glamorize people pleasing as the poor, helpless, empathetic person. Not apathetic, empathetic, that has been sucked into numerous relationships, and it's because they care so much about people. But the matter of the fact is that can be true, but that can also be that perhaps it is a natural pattern for you to seek out relationships that are harmful to you because it reinforces a self-sacrificing belief that you have about yourself. People pleasers can, not always, have a tendency to want to be a self-sacrificer. I was definitely one of those types. Obviously, this is not the rule always, but for me, I definitely enjoyed the thoughts of becoming a martyr. That was also why I felt on some level like I felt like there was more to my life than what it was growing up, as I, on some level, maybe felt like I was going to give myself up to the community on some level. And I figured that celebrityism is the best way to do it because I am providing entertainment to thousands of people. And isn't it ironic that I'm doing this while posting to YouTube? There is a very fine line of like knowing your ability and fulfilling that ability because it's something you're good at, but also having ego about it. Like we all have ego. It's inescapable because our ego was birthed from natural selection on an idea that humanity needed to continue to exist. And so our ego is the thing that pumps us with survival skills. People pleasing is a survival skill. You, at some point as a child, have been taught that it is better than being aggressive to be subdued, quiet, doing what other people ask you to do without question, always trying to predict the other person's actions so that there is no possible repercussion in the future. And obviously, severity of this ranges depending on your experience. I think it's not wrong for me to say that I care about people because I do, but the threshold of which I care for people has definitely gotten thinner. And not like in the sense of I'm just apathetic to everybody else except for 4 people. That's not what I mean. What I mean is more like the way that I would describe caring here, like how I would describe caring here it's very different than what I do now. I still have a lot of empathy for people that I do not know. But I think that my understanding of that is different now. And it's a lot more healthy. But I'm not a people pleaser because I care. I'm a people pleaser because I'm traumatized. Also to say here, people who are people pleasers sometimes, and not always, but this was definitely something I struggled with, is when I would do things for other people and they didn't recognize it or they didn't want it, then you get petty because you're like, oh, this person didn't recognize all the things I did for them. I'm looking at me like this was me. I keep pausing at these weird times. I know I'm almost done this video, but I need to say this now before I forget. I have a little issue with the word I used, which is worried. I know that might be nitpicky, but here's my explanation why. Around this period of time, or a little bit later, I remember I would be in therapy and I'd be talking to my therapist about how I really just felt like, and the specifically the thing of Crohn's came up. Oh, that's just another thing to add to my list. So I do remember feeling that way for a very long time. And I remember seeing it as okay, well, let's fix my diet then. Let's fix my body then so that I no longer have to deal with Crohn's. Not to say that I will never deal with Crohn's again. That's not what I mean. But when I use the word worry, it kind of reminds me of another thing that I brought up into therapy, which was I oftentimes will see therapy as fixing something in my life. Therapy isn't so that you're fixed. There isn't a fix version of yourself, because then that would just describe that you're searching for perfection. Worrying about little things, as I'm saying here. Don't worry about the big things, worry about the small things. I think that's just trading one problem for another, because maybe you're not worried about so much the big things. But if you're worried about the small things, well, that's when you just you probably start having disorder thinking. That's bad advice. I don't suggest taking that. I think what I would say now about that, it is true that if you work on the smaller things throughout your day, instead of thinking, and I still deal with this now, instead of thinking, well, overall, this is everything that has to be done this week, instead of just taking every couple of seconds to just pause, close your eyes, and breathe. That seems to be the thing that helps me actually go through my many laundry list of things to do, is just taking that moment to breathe, because then I'm centered in this moment. And oftentimes, and I think part of it is just something that I have a skill in, which is a positive, but also an unfortunate thing, is oftentimes I'm really good at calculating time traveling from one place to another. But when it comes to certain projects like video editing, sometimes they take much longer than I think they will. And that throws off my timing. But if I'm like timing, how long it'll take for me to walk to the bus station, or timing how long the bus will take to get from one place to another, I'm really good at that kind of stuff. But then I get overwhelmed by those smaller things, and I worry about those smaller things. So that's why I don't agree with it. I think what I really would prefer is that I slow down, is really what I should be saying here. This is obviously my 27-year-old self. I'm 32 now, so it's been a few years. And I think I just didn't understand that yet. And I think I was trying to grasp that concept, but I hadn't fully absorbed it yet. I guess that's the end of this section here. Okay, so we've reviewed number 1 of this video, and I think I'm going to end it by just saying this, because I've kind of already said a bunch of snippets throughout this entire video, so do I really need to add more? Probably not, but I was thinking about this period of time, and I was thinking about why I never posted videos, because as much as I can say, sure, I didn't have enough time, the matter of the fact is I figured out how to make time for some videos over others. Why didn't I edit some of these? Some of them were, I just didn't think it would be very appropriate for me to post online, because I, at this period of time, was still overthinking what I posted online and what I didn't. And obviously I was like, at this point, deconstructing my Christianity. That was not something I was willing to publicly say. So there was that. But I think it was also, I was embarrassed, I think, by some of these videos. Like I would like record them and I'd be like, do I really want to post that online? Like some of the videos I talked about earlier, I'd be like, those are definitely about specific people. If I posted that, they would have known I was talking about them. But it's also just, I think overall, this period of time, I just have a lot of sadness there. I was thinking about it earlier while I was at work. I was thinking about how I had watched most of this footage, right? And like a couple of other footage videos that will be showing up, obviously, at some point. And I was thinking about in relation to what it felt like to live in that moment. And all I felt was just sadness. And it could be that maybe I'm sad for that experience in that period of time, but definitely sadness. Like this was 2021. I know because of the house I'm living in here. And it's kind of complicated. Like, you know how everyone's talking about 2016 right now? My 2016 year wasn't great. I mostly just worked and got in a few really bad relationships. And there were a few other things happen, obviously. But this year, it was like right now in this video, like everything we just watched, was mostly me going through a period of time where I was really learning my independence, like actually embracing thoughts that I would have never embraced before, like obviously deconstructing my Christianity and trying to form some kind of thought. Obviously, this was also like around the time I was in the height of studying my philosophy degree. So there were a lot of classes that I was taking that were also exercising some of these thoughts too. I think it was just everything that had come before this period of time was pretty heavy. For me, during this period of time, it was pretty heavy. And I think this period of time that we were just reviewing was me coming out of that. And I think based on all the footage we just watched, it makes sense that I didn't post this because I wasn't ready to talk about this kind of stuff publicly. Some of this stuff, though, like, I don't even really agree with. Some of it was also, like, I would record it, and I'd be like, do I actually feel that way? Like, some of this was also just me talking out loud. Some of it was also just giving myself advice. Like, that last video we watched was me trying to talk to myself, tell myself, hey, can you stop, like, overthinking everything? I remember at this period of time, everyone was telling me, Sarah, you overthink so much. I'm like, you don't think I haven't overthought how I overthought? You clearly don't know I'm an overthinker. Like, I think it's also kind of therapeutic watching this again and processing some of these thoughts. And also just like how much I've just changed in the way that I think and feel. And also just like talk to the camera. Like the kind of way I'm talking to the camera here. Also, I'm sure you've noticed this, but I used to talk much higher pitched. I don't know what happened, but at some point I switched and now I talk a lot lower than I do in this video and like all the clips of this video. I'm not sure when I switched. I think it was like when I started gaining weight, honestly. It was like 2023 then. I definitely speak lower. And it's interesting because people have actually pointed out I speak lower. You know, recently I was going to talk to a vocal coach and they mentioned how I have a deep voice. And I'm like, it's interesting because I had always had a higher pitched voice, but at some point I switched. Now, it could be because I damaged my voice, I wonder, but I also was listening to, I don't know, a podcast or something like that where they're talking about fluctuations of voice. And they said that people who talk in a lower register are actually a lot more genuine and thoughtful. And so possibly it's just because also I just changed the way I thought about things and became a little bit more authentic to who I am. And I got to know myself because at this time, like through the video footage that we just watched, I really didn't know myself. I think I know when it switched. I'm not sure, but I have a feeling it might have switched there. That's not yet in this video series. So thank you so much for watching. If you're new to my channel, my name is Sarah. I am the host of Sarah's Spare Corner. Sarah's Spare Corner encompasses gaming as well as arts, crafts, and various different forms of creativity. Additionally, I like sharing theories, concepts, and ideas as I am a philosophy major. And when I'm not poor, I might travel places and I might post about it. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see the next video, part 2, it will be at the top over here. Yep, because I've decided I'm going to post them all at the same time. So I will see you in like 3 seconds. Okay, bye now.